Hey, yo, what's up? It's Joe back with a Git video. This video is just going to talk about the commands that I feel that every developer should know, or any person that's deciding to use Git. I feel like if you know these commands, you'll be good to go. I use these commands every day at work and also outside of work. And it's just, they're the main commands you need to get by. So, first, we'll start off with what is Git? So Git is a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from small to very large projects with speed and efficiency. The key word here is distributed. The reason being is because with that, you don't have to have all of your files and history and different points of time saved on one main file system. You can have that be your remote repository and then have users or developers or people or whoever download that remote repository, meaning all of that code and all of that history and everything that's happened with that project, download it to their local computer, and then they can start working on it. No matter, it can be 100 different developers working on different parts of it, and then once they make their changes and are happy with it, they can push it back up to that remote repository. So take their local copy and push it to that remote repository. And then once it gets up there, it can all get merged together. And then now all of their changes are back in the remote. And they also, when it's on their local repository, they can also still go back to different parts of the history. You don't even have to be online. You don't even have to have an internet connection. Like once you get the files down, you can pretty much do whatever you need to, like whatever you want. You can be on a plane and don't even buy the internet package and just sit there and code and work. And then once you get to the internet, you can push your changes back to a remote, and it's not holding you back. It's so easy to be able to work amongst teams to get things done. That's what I'm really trying to get across by breaking this down. So what you want to do is actually download Git. And you can just go to Google and type in Git space download, and they have different versions, Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. And then once you have it downloaded, then you can start using it. So my whole purpose of this video again is just talk about the commands that I feel that every developer should know. And if you're liking the videos, please subscribe and also hit that notification button, because I plan on keeping these videos coming as much as possible, because I'm learning a lot from doing them. And I don't know, I actually like it. It's pretty cool. So first, what we're going to do is just check what version of Git we have. 2.17.1. You may have a different version if you're following this, depending on when you downloaded it or if you've upgraded it. So we have Git installed. So now we want to actually start working in a project. So I could just start creating files here and there, but I'm going to take the easy way out and just have some files built for me. So I'm going to do this. So what this is going to do is basically create a folder called Git Basics Tutorial and have it set up all the different files that it needs to like create a React app. This doesn't really pertain to Git. It doesn't really matter what files you have, but to make it easier for me to do this tutorial without having to sit here and trying to create files back to back, I just did it that way because it's just have a lot of files there and I can play around with whatever I want. And I probably won't even use that many of the files, but at least they're there, and for me it makes it easier to do different things. So what you want to do first is set up a username and a user email. Now this is not to be confused with like a username or that you will log into like Git with, or an email that you will log into something with, or anything like that. It's basically used to track who's doing what. So what I mean, if John Doe is working on some files and Jane Doe is also working on some files, and they're working on them at different points in time, and then they're being pushed to the remote repository, and they're like all of this history and stuff is being put into the repository, and then I come in, Joe, like 5 months down the line and I just pull all of that remote repository down to my local, I can look at the log and see every commit of who did what. So I can say, okay, well, John Doe did this on this date and this time. Jane Doe came right behind him 2 days later and did this. So it also helps out to figuring out like who's on your team did what, not like for name blaming or anything like that. But you may have a question like, hey, why did you do this? And if you didn't know who did it, like how would you ask? You know? So what we're gonna do first is change to that folder that we just created. Okay. So currently I have this in my folder. This is just doesn't really pertain to Git, but this is just what was created for me when I did the Create React app. And if I look at my hidden files, as you can see, there's nothing in here about Git. There is a Git ignore, which was put in here by the Create React app, but do not get this confused. Like, this wasn't put in here by Git. It can be used by Git, and what it basically means is whatever files, whatever you put in there, whatever like you want to ignore, you don't want Git to pay attention to, you'll write it down in there, which I'll actually give an example later on to make it make more sense. So first I want to do git init. I'm in this git basics tutorial and I do git init, and now I've initialized my repository. So now if I do that same command and list everything, including the hidden files, now it has this Git folder. And what this Git folder is just some other stuff: branches, hooks, info, objects, refs, config, description, and head. Right? I'll just do it here just in case you couldn't see it at the bottom. And I never actually go into this folder. I never touch anything in here. This is really how Git operates. Like, I let Git handle what it needs to handle, and I just tell it what I want it to do. So basically, I don't have any need to go into this folder, and I kind of feel like you don't have any need to go into this folder. But if by some chance you do, please let me know why you did it, because I'm very interested to know why somebody would go into that folder and make changes. But to me, I feel like you can make changes and break your whole repository and lose your files and your histories and just mess a lot of stuff up. So I would just rather not do that and not worry about it. So now that we have that done, we've initialized Git, we need to go ahead and configure Git. So what we're going to do is say git config user.name, we're going to say John Doe, okay? And we're going to say the email is going to be at gmail.com. So this is saying that we're setting the username as John Doe and setting the email as johndoe@gmail.com. Now we have those set up. So first what we want to do is look at our status. You will use this a lot. This kind of tells you what's going on in your repository. So currently we have all of the files that we listed there. Or if you like just list the files, they're all been untracked, meaning that Git knows they're there, knows the files are there, but it's not doing anything with them and doesn't plan on doing anything with them because you haven't told it to do so. Git is very like, I'll do whatever you tell me. If you don't tell me, I'm not going to do it. Just look at it that way. So with that being said, you can add different files. So if I want to add a package.json file, and if I do that same command, git status, I see there's a new file that's been added, which basically means that now it's been staged, it's been tracked, called package.json. And then all of the other files that are there are not being tracked. So Git is not even paying attention to them. So, and also Git is one of those things where, especially on a command line, it tells you a lot of information. It kind of tells you what to do. It doesn't do it for you. It'll tell you different things you can do, but you have to tell it to do it. So this is basically saying that I can say git rm, which means remove, -- cached, and then the file name, which would be package.json, and that would actually just remove that package from this stage. So it will go back down here. So if I said, let me just put it at the top, so git remove -- cache package.json, And now if I do my get status again, as you can see now, is back in here. So also, you can add by doing a specific file name, and you can also add by doing get add dot, which means add everything in the directory. So now if I do my get status again, it's letting me know that all of this stuff has been added. New file, new file, new file, new file, new file, and so on and so on and so on. And again, if I wanted to remove it, I can remove it by cache, doing a cache name, then rm to remove. Okay, so now that I have that, I have everything added. It says changes to be committed. Basically saying I can actually commit this stuff that I made changes to. So what I want to do is say get commit -m. -m means message. So I'm committing all of the stuff that has been added. I want to commit, and I'm going to just say initial commit. Okay? It's basically just letting me know everything that it just did. So if I want to look at my log, I can see that there was an initial commit. This was the time. This was the author, which is John Doe, and johndoe@gmail.com, which is what I created. This commit has like an ID, and this ID is how you can actually go back and forth between like commits in the history to look at different versions of different things. So if like this had 100 different commits, which actually is, if you're at a company, it's way more than 100. But it says, say for instance, this was showing 100 commits, and you want to go to like commit like 2 months ago. You just go look for it, find the ID, and then you can just say like go to it, and you can like kind of show you where it was at that point in time. Currently I don't have that many, so it wouldn't really make sense to do that now, but I will show that in a moment. Okay, so what we want to do is we've already committed on the master branch, which is like the branch that's created when you first set up your Git. So for instance, if you're thinking as like a job, right? You have a master branch, or not even a job, just something, let's say for instance you're writing a school paper, and you have a master branch which has like your main paper, and you want to make some changes to this paper, but you don't want to lose what you had before. So you can do like something like git branch my new branch. So what this does is create a branch for you called my new branch. So if you git branch again, it will list them. So git branch without any name behind it lists all of the different branches that you have. In this case, it's master and my new branch. And git branch with the name creates the branch. So once you create the branch, you want to go to the branch, right? So git checkout my new branch. Now it's saying I've switched to branch my new branch. So as you see, I was in master, now I'm at my new branch. And if I do git log, it's still going to show the same thing. Like I haven't made any other changes. So now let's say I'm in my new branch and I want to make a change, because I have something special I'm doing here that I need to create it. So let's say I have these files, right? And let's just go to Vim for a second. So let's say I go into here and I say I am adding this because it's cool. And I just saved it. So now if I say git status, it's letting me know that, hey, you modified this file. You haven't staged it yet, meaning that you haven't added it, but I know you modified it. So now when you do git status, it's going to tell you modified this file, but you still haven't told Git to do anything with it. So now that I've modified this file, I wanted to add it. So I can say git add dot, or I can say git add source dot app. Like I can do it by the file name or just by the dot. Since I already have it typed out, I just do that. So now if I do git status again, I can see that it's not saying the same thing. Before it said changes not staged for commit. But once I've added, it's letting me know that changes to be committed. Meaning basically I've added it, now I can do a commit. So let's say I want to say commit and I want to say made changes to app.tsx file. And now if I do get status, there's nothing to commit and the working tree is clean, meaning that everything is good to go. So if I do my get log again, I have the initial commit and I have made changes to app.tsx file. So the interesting part about this is how branches work is that right now I'm in my new branch and you saw that log. But if I go back to master, get checkout master, and I do that get log again, it's not showing that second commit. Reason being is because I didn't make any changes to this branch after this. I created a new branch when I called my new branch, and that's where I made those changes. So if you think about that as in like if you were like at work, you're able to branch off of one main branch, which will be like the master branch, and then you can start making changes to your code and it's not going to affect anything that was in that master branch. So it makes things pretty cool to like deal with. So now that that is done, let's say for instance I wanted to go back to that branch. So get checkout. Again, checkout is just how you pretty much go to that new branch. So you get branch with the branch name creates a new branch. Get branch without anything following it gives you a list of the branches. And get checkout with the name of the branch pretty much takes you to that branch. So now I'm back to that branch and just do the get log again. As you can see now I have that one that wasn't there before. Well, the one that wasn't there for master. Okay, so let's say for instance now that I have this, I want to put this on the remote repository because right now currently it's just local, but I want to get it to the remote. So once you get to that point, there are different things you need. Like there's GitHub, which is what I'm going to use. There's also Bitbucket, which like pretty much saves all of your files and stuff on their server. And this is not my regular GitHub account. I just created this just so I can just do some testing because I didn't want to mess with my regular one. So it's already created. I've already set up a username and password. So I go to repositories. Right now I have 0. And I say new. I'm going to call this get basics. What did I call it over here? Get basics tutorial. Get basics tutorial. Okay. I'm not going to give it a description. I'm going to keep it public. It can be public or private. But I'm just going to keep it public. I'm not going to do a readme file, which is basically just how it pretty much describes like what is this whole repository about. So I'm going to create the repository. So now it's telling me like if this is a new repository on the command line or if this is an existing repository. So since I've already did the get init and I've already started committing my changes, this is an existing repository on my local machine. Okay. So this is telling me that I can copy this, which I can just do by clicking here. And I can use that. This get remote pretty much says, okay, my remote repository, like what I'm going to be interacting with as a remote, this is the location. And this is like the remote name called origin. So let's say for instance, like right now if I do get remote, I don't have anything there. But if I do the get remote add origin, blah, 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 blah. I don't need this part though. I mean to copy all that. So now if I do get remote add origin and then hit enter, it's just added a remote for me. So if I do get remote, again, it's showing that I have one for origin. So this is basically the name of the remote server. Okay. So to get more information, because just say for instance, like you've set this up a long time ago and you don't remember what the URL was for this, you say get remote v -v, and that will show you more information. So it's saying I have origin for fetch and origin for push. Basically mean that when I'm pushing stuff to the remote, this is the URL that it goes to, which is the GitHub account that I created. And when fetching stuff, like getting stuff pulled down to me, this is the URL. And so you have one for push and one for pull. They're normally the same. So once you have that, now I can say I'm on my new branch, right? So I can say git. Actually, before I do that, let me go back to master. And just so you see that even though I'm going back to different branches, the remote works for all the branches. So I can go to different branches, but I set my remote and it works across branches. So since I haven't actually set anything up here yet, normally you want master to be like the main one that goes first. Like that's the one, that's the master. That's why it's called the master. So if I do git status, there's nothing, like the tree is clean. And if I do my git log, I can see that was the first initial commit that I did. So I can do git push. Push means you're pushing your changes to the remote repository. So you do git push, you need origin, which is the name of that remote. And then you need the branch, which in this case is master. See, master, master. It's going to ask me for my username, which don't even know what I put. I think that could have been it. And this password, I'm probably going to get this wrong. Oh, I got it right. So now that that's been done, if I just do a refresh, all of the files that were on my local machine are now on this remote server. Okay? So if I look here, I have my one commit. I can see what happened there. And it's literally just all of the files been added because that was the initial commit. Okay? Because remember, the master didn't have the two different logs. So now that I have that, let's say for instance I want to go back and say git check out my new branch. Okay? And again, we have that git log here. So this is one that we made an additional change to outside of the master branch. So if I do git status, there's nothing to show because everything is clean. I'm going to say git push origin again, but now it's going to be my new branch. Okay? Username again. There is a way to set this up. So you sorry, wait, is that right? There's a way to set this up so you don't have to keep typing this in every time, but that's actually outside of the scope of this video. Okay, so what I've done now is push my changes for my new branch. So now if I go back here and I hit refresh, let's go to here. It's telling me like, there's a new branch here, my new branch, less than a minute ago because I just did it. It's letting me know that, hey, do I want to create a pull request to be able to get my changes pushed into master? Now normally there will be two different people doing this. There will be like a developer that's creating like the my new branch, right? That'll be a developer John Doe, whoever. He created my new branch and off of master, because that's where it started. He pushed those changes to the remote server. He got to here. He wants to create a pull request, which is what's about to happen now. And that happens a lot at work. So it's saying, take my new branch and create the pull request to get the changes into the master branch. And it tells you what the changes are. I'm adding this because it's cool, blah, 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 blah. This must have happened because of an auto format or something. So you can put some comments in here like, please merge my changes into master. Okay, so I can create the pull request. This would be like, say a developer is, did I hit that button? I don't know if it worked. This would be like a developer is doing that part, okay? So once that's been done, normally this would be a different person, like a code reviewer or somebody, maybe a tech lead or somebody else that's going to go in and go ahead and merge the pull request. So they will come in and log in with their credentials. It's just right now everything is under my one like login, so it's kind of weird to fully understand it, but just pretend that somebody else just logged in and they logged in and they saw this. They say, okay, we have a pull request here. And this is what it says, made changes to the app.tsx file, which was the commit that I put there when I first did it. And then now, if I want to look at the changes, I can say files change, and I can see, if I was looking at this before I committed it, I can see these different things, okay? Now, if I wanted to actually go ahead and approve it, I would say merge pull request. Confirm it. Now that has been merged, okay? So if I go back and I say get checkout master, and again, just to show you, if I do cat, which is going to show you what's on the screen, I think it's source app.tsx. As you can see, that part I added is not here. This is the master branch. But this is the same master branch here that has those updated changes. Like if I go here, because this is what just got pushed, like however long ago that was. I'm adding this because it's cool. So what you can do is say get pull origin. Again, that's the remote. If you forgot, is get remote dash feed to see the different names and stuff. So get pull origin, and I'm going to say master. So now if I pull master into here, you'll be able to see that change. So it's pulled in that app.tsx change, tsx change. And now if I do that same command, as you can see now locally, I have that change that I pushed to the server, but I downloaded it back to my local from the server. Normally you probably won't be working directly off the master branch. You'll normally work off different branches, and master would just be the branch that always gets everything pushed back into it. Like sometimes at work you may have like a hot fix where it's like, we need to get this fixed out as soon as possible, and they may say, okay, work off the master branch, and then you'll create a branch off the master branch. But normally you do not create branches off of the master branch. You normally have like a develop branch or a feature branch or something like that. Okay. So what have we done so far? We've installed Git, we've set up the username and the email, we've looked at branches, we've added files to be tracked, we've committed files, we've done checkouts to switch from different branches, we did the Git remote to actually go ahead and set up the remote so you can start pushing and pulling changes from the remote repository. We did a git pull, that's how we pulled the changes down. We did git log, that's how we saw everything. Like you see the log now it shows you the log, a merge pull request from my new branch, and then that was that comment that was put for it. So that's like really the main stuff I think you need to know to be successful with Git. Like there's a lot more that can go way deeper, but if you know these commands, you pretty much can be set to get by, because it doesn't really get too much crazier than that. The one other thing probably can show you is that, okay, so say git branch. So these are the two branches. I'm in my master branch and I have my new branch. So my new branch has been pushed and my changes are done. I don't care about this branch anymore. I don't need it. So I can say git branch -d for delete, and then that branch name was my new branch, and then I do it, and it's pretty much told me my branch was deleted. Now if I do git branch again, it's no longer there, only master is there. But if I go back on the remote repository and I look at the branches, that new branch is still there. And you can see all the different changes there. Yeah, my new branch. So if I wanted to delete a branch from a remote repository, I need permission, but I also have to write the command to do it. So this will be git push, because now we're pushing a change, just like how you push all your changes when you make changes, commit them, and you add, and then you commit them and you push them to the repository. To delete, you still need to push to the repository to let it know that you're deleting. So you say git push origin is the remote, and you'll say dash dash delete. It's a little bit different when you're deleting from the repository. Okay, and you still have to put the branch name, which in this case was my new branch. So git push origin. I'm pushing to the origin remote repository. I want to delete this branch. It's going to ask for the username and the password. I think I just hit that wrong key. Let's see. Did I? Oh, I guess I did put the right password. I was thinking I hit the wrong key, but I guess I didn't. So now it's telling me that it's deleted that branch from the remote repository. So now if I go back here, see it has my new branch. If I hit refresh, not found. Why? Because it's been deleted. So now if I go here and look, the only thing that's left here is master. Okay. So let's look at two other things. I think I spoke on .gitignore. So let's see what .gitignore has right now. Actually, probably be easier to send in Vim. So this is a lot going on, because this was just pulled in from what was built from when I built the project. We got all the project loaded. So, but I'm just going to add something else here just to make it easier to see what's going on. Actually, let me just add it first. So I'll say let me create it first so you can see. So I'm going to say we're going to create a file. We're going to call it some new. Actually, let's be good and get off of master, because I really shouldn't be making any changes in master. So git checkout branch, my second branch. So not sure if you noticed, but I changed the command a little bit. Before I would do something like this. I would say git branch, and I would say git checkout, and then it will switch me to the branch. Git checkout. Actually, so now if I do git branch, it has AAA master and my second branch. So my second branch I did with a new command that I haven't actually went over. So when you do git checkout -b, I'm going to just call it feature some new stuff. So this is going to be a new branch I'm creating again. So checkout -b means create a branch and also check it out at the same time. So it saves you time of having to do git branch to create the branch and then git checkout to check out. It does it all in one line. So now as you see, I've already been switched to this branch. So let's say I added a file and say some file, whatever that may be. Touch is just adding a file. So if I list, I see I have my some file there. If I do my git status, I see I have my some file there. And there's also a shortcut for git status, which is git status -x-s, which actually lets you see things a little bit cleaner. And once you get comfortable with Git, you'll probably use -s way more than just without it, because with it just shows so much information and so much like empty space, and just takes up so much of the screen. So as you can see here, it says some file, but the whole git ignore thing, what I was talking about. So if I go back to Vim and I say get ignore, and I say let's ignore some file. Let me just go to a new one so I can just leave that open. I could actually go to the terminal in Vim, but I'm trying to not use up too much space. So that's why I'm kind of doing everything on different screens. So if I go to that get, yeah, it was there. So remember when I did the get status before, it talked about this some file not being tracked. Now if I do get status again, it's letting me know that I changed the get ignore file, but it's not showing the sum file. And the only change I made to the get ignore file is adding some file here. So a good way to see that is typing in get diff. So get diff would actually show you the changes that you made. That's another command I haven't went over yet. So see, it shows the sum file that I added, which is right here. And there's the sum file. So what I want to do is say, not only do I want to ignore some file, but I want to ignore get ignore. But you probably wouldn't actually do this, but I just want to show you that you can. So now if I do get status, did I spell it right? Dot get ignore. Okay, dot get ignore. So it's showing as modified. Thought it would hide that. Okay, maybe you can't stop it from showing dot get ignore. I feel like you could. I'm going to research that and I'll put it down in the comments once I figure it out, because this video has already went long enough. But I really felt like I could, but I'll research it later because this video is too long. Okay, but basically you have your get diff, and then with the get dot get ignore, I added in some file which has now been ignored. So I think that's pretty much covered everything. And just to recap, just to do it quickly, so let's just go back to, let's say get status s. Let's just say get commit change get ignore. I guess I need to add it first. So now if I do get log change get ignore. So now let's just do something real quick, because I know it probably looks like it's like takes a very long time. So let's say, for instance, we're at the master branch. Get status s, we have some file there which came over because we went back and forth. So let's just remove this file. So now this is clean, right? So this is the regular get status, okay? It's clean. So just say get checkout branch my last branch. So now we have my last branch. And okay, so we want to say make some changes to something. Let's just add a new file again. So you see get status, some new file. I'm gonna say get add, get status again. And now it's saying that some new file again was added. And then let's say do a get commit. And now we do a get status. Everything is clean. If I do a get push, origin my last branch. Okay. So I have my last branch been push. If I go here, it's already there actually. So my last branch, I can compare. I can see I added some new file again, although there's nothing there. And I can just say create pull request. And then somebody will come in, somebody else will review this pull request and say, okay, do I want to accept this or not? They're adding some file again. Okay, cool, I'll accept it. They merge the pull request, confirm the merge. Now this has been merged into master. So now if I go back to master and I say, sorry, go back to master and I look here, I see that some new file again is there, and it actually tells you the comment of when I added it. And if I want to get it back, I can pull in the changes to this branch or pull them down to the master. You can also do the git log, and you can, of course, you can do the delete again. So let's just finish it out, and let's just go back to master. Let's say git branch delete my last branch, and delete that. What did I do wrong? Oh, saying it's not fully merged. I'm just gonna go ahead and force it. Basically saying that it thinks I need to merge in some changes, but I know everything is fine, so I'm just gonna force it to delete it. Sometimes Gits try to stop you from doing things. So like I said, it won't do anything unless you tell it to. And sometimes you tell it to, it still doesn't want to, so you have to force it. And then now what I want to do is see right here is still on the repository, as in here, and I just want to remove it from there. And that is git push origin -- delete my last branch. If I can type it. This part again. And now that's been deleted. If I hit refresh, see, that's been gone. And that's basically it for this Git tutorial. Hope you learned something. If you did, please subscribe because I have more coming, and hit the notification and put some comments in there. Let me know what you think. If you feel like I could have done something better, or if you feel like, you know, I did something wrong. Like, I'm all about learning too, so call me out. Like, if I'm wrong, call me out. I can take it. So with that being said, I will chat with you all later. Peace out.